I'm also the director of distribution for Gruesome and Grotesque, Graphic Pictures. But more importantly, I've been coming here for the last 5 or so years, hosting and moderating panels because Texas Frightmare is probably one of the best conventions in the country. Yeah. The reason is because of panels like this. Up until 2 minutes ago, I had no idea who was showing up to this panel, but you're in for treats. So let me welcome the co-writer and director of Saw 2, 3, and 4, Darren and Also with us today, the heir apparent to Jigsaw, Costas Mandalore. Jigsaw's other apprentice, Shawnee Smith. And last but not least, we can't do a Saw panel without Jigsaw himself, Tobin Bell. Oh, wow. Thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone here does too. Spoilers, obviously, I guess. I assume you've all seen these movies at this point? Yeah. I actually have not seen the last one, so sorry.
Spoilers.
That won't be spoiled. But anyway, this thing has become one of the most iconic franchises of the last decade, which I think is pretty incredible, considering the humble beginnings of the first film that James Wan did. And so I guess we should just start at the beginning with each of your introductions into the franchise. And I'm just curious, for a lot of you, where you were in your career when Saw came into it. Because obviously you all had rich careers in the film industry, except for Darren, who was just starting out. So where were you at when Saw 2 happened?
I feel like my life has come full circle. I was broke, living on a couch, and almost penniless. And ironically, I'm back to broke. No, it was, I was working as a PA. A lot of people have heard this story. I was working as a PA. I wrote a script called The Desperate. Saw had not come out yet, but there was buzz around Sundance, and I get called in to meet with Mark Berg, who was one of the producers, and said, hey, we want to make a new franchise. We have this thing we just did called Saw. And then a few months later, Saw kept gaining steam. It wasn't out yet. Everyone was talking about it. And they quickly said, we have to make a Saw 2 right away. And they came to me about adapting The Desperate into Saw 2, which at the time I was like, F them, I'm an auteur, this is my awesome movie. And it was the best decision I ever fucking made. Aspiring to want to be filmmakers or artists out there, I literally went from not knowing where the next dollar is going to come from, being a PA, never directed a feature in my life, to being on a plane to Toronto to direct these people, all within 24 hours. So.
Costas, I mean, you've been acting for a while. I was just talking to somebody about Monsters before, which is fun. But you had come in for Saw 3. And you have a little bit part in that movie that blossomed into this great role. So when you got into the Saw franchise, where were you in your career, and did you have any idea that little part would turn into what it turned into?
I was sleeping behind Darren's couch. I was invited, I was doing okay, but I was invited into this world to meet a guy called Darren Bowston, by Mark Berg, who produced it and managed myself at the time, and I'm like, sure, but I hadn't seen the movies, and I knew they'd become something. I think it was around about two of them done. And I go to a room, and I'm talking to Darren, who's looking at me and being kind of serious, which he can be. And at some point, I was asked if I'd see the movies, and I'm like, no. And when Darren left, Mark goes, lie a little. And I didn't, and I felt really naive not to, but apparently Darren didn't hold it against me, and I ended up joining Darren and people that actually began it, on my left. And my idea of doing anything was always don't screw it up because it's doing just fine. Thanks.
And when you cast that role for Song 3, was there any, how much did you know going forward that he would be such a pivotal part of the franchise?
We had an idea. We knew the character would continue on, but we didn't know to the extent. Like I think when we were doing when we did Saw 3, I don't think we knew that he was going to take over for a while, but we knew he was going to be a big character. So I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, the thing which is cool about the Saw thing, you have to think 2 steps ahead. You can't just think it out. You got to think what's 2 steps after that.
Right. And for Shawnee, I know that I've spoken to James Wan, who did the first film, obviously, and he was a big fan of the Blob, the 80s version, which probably my top 5 remakes, for sure. And so what about you when you did the first Saw? Because obviously you had no inkling that it was going to go on to be what it was.
I was sleeping on Tobin's couch.
A lot of couch sleeping. But yeah, what was it about James that convinced you to do that film? Because again, he was, and this is going to be the same for Tobin, James was not James yet.
Yeah, but you could see James in the short film that they made, that got the Yeah. Oh yeah. I played Linda Becker for 5 years, and that's all really people saw, got used to seeing me as that part, which was an epic part, but so this two I played Amanda was sort of different. I said, that's kind of cool. But they showed me that short film, and it was awesome. And it was awesome that day. I worked one day and saw the whole thing was filmed in 18 days, right?
Yeah, 18.
And it was awesome to watch him run around like a mad genius director in the confines of you could see all the shots he had in his mind and the 2 out of the 20, right, that he was probably able to do that day, And it was awesome. But speaking of awesome, I just rewatched the first 3, and how about every move that this guy makes? I would say they're so lucky that they got Tobin to play that part. And I know they know, but I just rewatched him, and I'm like, the way he moves, the way he gets up from the floor, and the way in the flashback, and then I'll stop, but the flashback is Saw 3, when he injects himself before he lays down on that floor, the way he injects himself is it makes the movie. Like these tiny little things. Awesome.
I love that scene, the scene that she's talking about. I don't know if you remember what scene that is. It shows the moments before Saw 1, just before Saw 1, and I love that scene because when I was a kid, I used to watch The Lone Ranger all the time, and I'm dating myself, I know, but there was this series called The Lone Ranger, but they had this, at one point in time, they showed, when The Lone Ranger picked up was when him and Tonto were already saving the world, riding in from town to town to save people, but they showed how they became the Lone Ranger and Tonto in this particular episode, and what happened to who he was before the mask and all that. I always loved that episode, so I always love that scene that she's talking about. Love those kind of scenes that explain the details without overdoing it, of how things evolve and become what they become. Because people want to know that stuff.
Yeah, and for you, Tobin, the first movie, I think, is, even watching it now, it's so amazing how much was accomplished on such a low budget. But for an actor, on paper, they're basically asking you to just lay on the floor. And so, and then obviously there's those moments. But what was it about James that stood out to you that you decided that you really thought there was something to his character in the first film?
I sat on the couch. He woke me up first. He woke me up first, and so we sat on the couch and we talked for a while. We got to the end, and I said to him, James, if people are going to sit for an hour and a half and watch this film, the guy has to say more when he gets up off the floor. You have to understand why he's doing what he's doing and what, you know. And he said, like what? What are you saying? I said, like this. And I gave him a piece of paper. He read the piece of paper and he said, can I take this? And he said, this is okay. We'll put it in the next draft of the script. I said, sure. So he took it. I think he had me do the voice. And then he took it. We shot the film. I said what they had put in the script. And when it came to do post-production on the film, he said, "Are you ready?" I said, for what? He said, for the moments after you get up off the floor and what I said. He said, yeah, I'm ready. I was all excited to hear the stuff that I had written. You know. He shows me the scene and it's gone. It's not there. I said, it's not there. He said, yeah, it didn't work. I said, okay, it's your film. And, you know, you win some, you lose some, you know. And he might have been right for all I know. And I'm still trying to say it. You know, I've been trying to say it ever since.
I still have the first letter that he wrote. This is how it totally works. In Saw 3, and I read this letter. My daughter is now, as of this morning, she's the only other person who's read this letter. And it's in 2 different inks, you know, so we wrote part of it at one time, and then came back to it with another pen another time, and finished it. And that's the kind of actor he is. I mean, it's like scientific, you know, just every detail is filled out. And I just remember with Darren, remember that scene, Crazy Directors? He was out of time, and he wanted to get this shot, and we locked ourselves.
Oh, no one believes the story, but it's an absolutely true story. It's my favorite. So in Saw 2, there's a moment where the bat is ripped off the back of the head of a character.
I saw that, it was gross.
And this is my first movie. As I mentioned, I had no idea what I was doing, and I think everyone was kind of worried about me to fuck it up. And it was like, you only get 12 hours around a movie set, and I think it was already like 13 and a half, and they were like, this is it, this is your last shot, you're doing no more shots. And we didn't get the shot where the back got ripped out of the back of the head. And I looked at the DP and I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't get it without this. And I looked at Sean and I was like, what am I going to do? And so we said, let's lock all the producers out. So we quickly pushed the walls together and screwdrivered them in. And you hear the producer go, okay, that's a wrap. And I was like, oh, go, action. And then you hear the producer, the soundstage going, fucking Bowser! And he's banging on all sides of the set trying to get in. And we finally got the shot, and like pulled the screws out. And you saw him standing there, like there was no smiling, there was nothing. As a director, you gotta get the fucking shot. You gotta get the shot. Talking about the writing process, one of the things from going to Saw 2 and 3, which was my favorite part of it, was Tobin is an intense guy, and I'll tell you, like, I remember the first time I sat with him. So there's some scenes that on a script are like 1/8 of a page, and so when you do that, like I have an idea, we gotta do a quick like one shot. But Tobin might have a 10-page explanation for what that means to him and his character. And so I'm like, hey Tobin, let's do this, one shot, quick. He's like, no, sit down. There's a scene, and this is so bad. I forget which one it was now, but there was a scene when you're running through the festival, where the firecrackers are going on, And it was supposed to be like a one-shot thing, but Tobin literally had like 5-page journal entry that I had to sit and read with him. And what's awesome is he takes my kind of terrible ideas and makes them better. I take credit for them. That's how I continue to work, because I just take everyone's ideas. And I'm like, yeah, that was me. But what was awesome during Saw 3, which I think is my favorite collaborative process ever in filmmaking, was when the three of us all sat down and got together, and you have an idea on the page. You're like, this sounds good to us on the page, but then when you see it, there's a million other ideas you're not thinking about. And we sat down and literally, for hours, just reworked the script and reworked it to make it make sense for what it felt like on set. And to me, that was still the best experience. And I don't think we would have done that, we wouldn't have had the same movie that we had. And to me, the ones that I did, Saw 3 still holds out to be the one that I just fucking love because of the relationships and the emotion between these two guys, which I love.
I remember the moment everybody dies. It was Shakespearean ending. Oh, it's brilliant. And we were like, yeah. And ever since then, I've been like, no.
Well, Shawnee, can you tell me a little bit about how, by the second one, kind of how you worked with Tobin? Because I've heard a lot that Tobin has a lot worked out for the backstory of the character, and now they're weaving it into the mythology by the second film, which only kept evolving. It was really fantastic the way your character rapport. So, what kind of conversations did you guys have about who Amanda and Jigsaw were?
Well, Saw 2, I didn't get to work with Tobin, really. And so Saw 3, we were in Toronto about to film the movie, and so let's rehearse. Okay. Our rehearsal, and we both had the same idea that you had to approach it in a real way. In hindsight, could have been fun for Amanda to just be a total badass superhero. She shouldn't have died. No. But I couldn't work in any other way. Like I couldn't, you've seen me, I'm like, there's so many politically incorrect words I can't use to describe my stature. It's like short and small and not that intimidating. So we said, how do we prepare for this? Well, we spend time together like John and Amanda would have spent time together. So I'm telling you, there has to be rivets in the sidewalks at Toronto where we walk, and I still have the picture strip or photo booth. I just pulled this stuff out this morning before I came up here and took pictures of it. I'm too afraid to travel with it because I have the letter box you gave me of wine. It was like a wine opening kit, says Toronto 2006, and that little strip we took in the photo booth, remember?
Yeah.
And we'd walk and talk and walk and talk. And it was so important, when I give them the water, what were the daily routines? What was the reality of? Because we figured the movie really hinged on buying the reality of their relationship. And I said Saw 3 is a love story. Not in a creepy way, in a creepy movie, but and I just rewatched them, and you see that you can feel the.
Some of the hardest battles were not the ones that I thought they were going to be in the Saw universe. I think Saw 3 was the hardest battle, and the hardest scene to get in Saw 3 were the character beats, the cutting where Amanda cut herself. I mean, that was a huge thing that no one wanted to put in there because they said, why do you need that? What does that do to the story? It has absolutely nothing, and that's why you need it, because it shows character. There was a bunch of those flashbacks between Amanda and John Kramer that it was like, this is drama. Why are you? I was like, it's exactly why it's important.
Yeah, and thanks for that, to get that in there, because it tells you a lot about Amanda. My daughter's about to turn 19, and I just let her watch some parts of the first 3 with me over the last week. And I showed her the book, this book, A Bright Red Screen, when I found Amanda and all my notes and stuff, and the letter. She's the only one who read the letter. She's like, Amanda's so tragic. She just wants to pull her around, and she's like, oh, they love each other. It's so beautiful. And
Okay, so listen.
Show me out of the.
One story about your daughter, it's okay. I told this story in a commentary, but it's still great. So I grew up like having a huge crush on Shawnee from things going back to summer school and things like that. So I'm working with her, and I'm nervous, and I'm like, she has a daughter. How old was she when you saw too?
She was 5 or 6.
So she's 5 or 6, and we're doing the needle pit scene. And I'm so scared. Number one, making an asshole of myself. Number two, screwing up the movie. And so Shawnee's daughter's kind of running around, and we're about to do the needle pit scene, and Shawnee's already a little nervous. And we're about to do it, just throw her in the needle pit, and she comes over to me and she goes like this. And she goes, "There's a baby in my mommy's belly this big." And she had told me when she was pregnant. So now she's struggling and he was getting pushed in. And I'm like, oh my God. And it was just crazy story.
When I was pregnant, you have no Amanda. Oh my God, and it was so very, very early. I just told the wardrobe lady, and that's, you think like these things are really thought out, like Amanda in hindsight, you know, was part of the training, desexualizing, and, you know, too, with the pajamas and the inception for that creative choice was trying to hide being pregnant. It was very early on, but that was bad timing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's talk about Saw 4, bringing Custis into the picture in a big way. But you had done 3 of these pretty close together consecutively, one year after another, and I know that you were very reluctant to do Saw 4. So what was it that sold you that you wanted to do one more of these? And I think you told me once that
Conscious landlord showed up to my door with a baseball bat. I'm terrified of sorry for my friend, fucking it up. And I'd done 2 movies that were successful and that I loved. And I felt like I was like Christina, just doubling down again. And I was terrified I was going to fuck it up. And I was just like, you know, I've done 2. I can walk away doing something great, or I can fuck it up. That's the
There's no cursing in this panel, I don't know.
The other thing, and this is a testament to the people in Toronto that were making them, it's such a machine. They are the same cameramen, the same props people, the same makeup and hair. They know what they're doing. And the movies are so well oiled by that point. I felt like if I would have been drunk on set, they would have just taken over and they could have made it as good as me. Because they're so talented. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I think that they, in the Saw universe, surround themselves with the very best. And so at that point, you're right, I'd done movies back to back. I wanted to do something, number one, that I wouldn't screw up or destroy. And number two, I felt that I wanted a challenge. I wanted something completely different. I was like, what can I do that's completely different? And I said, a rock opera. So then that's what but yeah, but you know what's funny about Saw 4 was it ended up being the most fun of all the films. So I said Saw 3 team has an emotional thing, but and in large part due to Costas Mandalore, who's a maniac. It was just Costas' energy on set. I don't even know how to describe it outside it. He's a maniac. That's funny.
Well, Custis, let's talk about your character a little bit, because of a lot of the characters in the franchise, I think Hoffman has an incredible arc, an incredible fun arc to play. And I mean this in the best way. By part 6, you are a fucking psycho. And I think what's interesting is Jigsaw has created this philosophy, this morality, and Amanda took to it one way, and Hoffman just fucking went for it in terms of what he thought Jigsaw's philosophy was. So, I mean, how did you not only approach it, but I know obviously Marcus Dunson and Patrick Melton had written 4, 5, and 6. So how much did you talk to them and know that that's where you were going to end up?
Well, first of all, I got the guide from Tobin for like the tone of it. And I was visiting this place where I just didn't want to make any mistakes. But at some point, you got to take responsibility as you go along. And when I knew I was going to be around, I wanted to take some chances. Obviously, you don't want to copy the master because it's impossible. Shawnee was very different and loved by the fans. And you got to make up your own kind of path. And every now and then I knew that I had to get a little crazier and undisciplined, because if you remember the scene with myself and Tobin, what he was trying to teach me was discipline in the craft. Do you remember that scene when we did it together? Anyway, I started to stray from that as I knew I was going to get chances to become a little bit kookier. And Darren was a lot of fun on the set too. And funny enough, Mr. Serious on the left, he was hysterical, but not many people knew it. We had some great laughs too.
I have some pictures that would get all of us in trouble from software. And I kind of wanted to put out there just because I think it would destroy everyone's career. So I'm
and Darren, I don't know if this is a sore spot for you, but why did you choose not to do Saw 5 and continue, considering you had all these great people?
Stupidity.
Did you just feel it was time to try something else?
Yeah, again, because I think going back to that kind of thing, the crew was so good that I felt that my role in it got smaller and smaller because I knew what they were doing so much. And when you make a film again and again and again, you have to adhere to those rules. You have to adhere to that logic. I can't all of a sudden have John Kramer decide, you know what, today he's going to be disco. And you're going to put the disco gags in. You have to adhere to what you set up. And at that point, we had years and years and years of mythology. And also the fandom, because the fans were so, you guys were so in love. And there was used to be a website called House of Jigsaw. And I was obsessed going on there, and they would pick apart the smallest things, and I'm like, fuck, they're right, I fucked that up, I shouldn't have done that. and then it became scary for me, because I was like, if I do this, is that right? And I'd literally go to House of Jigsaw and search it, and I'm like, oh, that's wrong, I can't do that, I gotta do this. And the pressure was so intense at that point. I didn't feel any pressure really making Saw 2, because at that point, no one really knew what it was. They didn't know the franchise of it, so it was really fun and liberating. Saw 3, I think they knew it was a franchise, and they knew that this could be a very lucrative thing, and so I felt more pressure as a director on Saw 3. By Saw 4, I was nervous all the time. I did not know my stomach. Now, that said, looking back, I was stupid because it continued this very successful trajectory, and I love all the people in the Saw universe. It would have been great to do it, but I needed for my own career to step outside and make some other stuff. Before I could.
You guys scared him. That's
yeah, and it was also the last part of that answer is I didn't realize what Saw was until years after, because when we were making them back to back to back to back, we were living in Toronto, and there was the turnaround was so rapid. It was you shoot, you go right into post, next pre-production on the next one. I didn't realize what Saw was. Maybe until 4 or 5 years later, when I was away from it, that I realized. Even today. Looking at the people dressed up like Billy, looking at the people with the Saw tattoos and everything, you realize, holy shit, we were a part of something, and some still are a part of something that is shaping the horror community. And it's hard. It was awe-inspiring hard, and I think I just got scared.
Okay.
That's it. I still want to do Jigsaw in space, I've been pitching out the
Realistically, I'm going to open it up to the audience for questions. Before that, Darren, I am going to put you on the spot, because before the new Jigsaw was a movie, you actually pitched me an idea that you had how you would have continued the franchise. And I thought it was pretty fucking awesome. So, do you guys want to hear what his Saw 8 would have been?
I'll give you, I can't give all of it, but originally, this was when, I'm trying to think when it was, maybe 5 years ago that I pitched it, 4 years ago. I said that it would have been awesome because the whole mythology of Jigsaw was he's trying to basically, he's trying to spread a virus if he can. He wants to change people, make them appreciate what they have, make them appreciate their life. And he keeps having, these assistants and these proteges of him that continually make the wrong choices. And I said the next evolution of it is it spreads virally like a Fight Club. And I said I wanted to start with Fight Club Jigsaw, where it literally is all over the United States and the world with these cells that are popping up that are taking on his legacy. And that was my original. I did this whole pitch with animatics and music and all this other stuff, and they didn't find it as amusing as I did. Awesome. But when I did this, really, I did do when I pitched at the Lionsgate, I came in with traps, and I had like animatics of traps. And I was really excited, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to come back. And they're like, no, thank you. But I'm trying to convince Tobin that we need to shoot a short film with it and put it out there.
All right. Let's open it to the audience to get questions. Shout it out, please.
Hey, this is Mr. Tobin Bell. I was wondering if you could perform, if you remember any of it, the lines that you'd written down as you got up from the floor.
They want to know if you can reveal the original lines from the first one that never made it.
They were essentially what I ended up saying, but just longer. Which probably was a good cut on James's part. When I look at that scene now, I think, no, fuck, you didn't have to say anything more than that. That was just fine. So, but the point of what I was saying to him was, what is this about? What's the essence of what John Kramer, what's his intent, and we're still, and I have to express my gratitude that I've been working with a team that in Saw 2, we were able to flush that out to some extent with Donnie Wahlberg scenes, and expressing some sort of off-the-wall stuff, all of a sudden he starts talking about Darwin's trip to the Galapagos and survival of the fittest, and he just throws little drips and drabs of stuff in that are on his mind, and I'm still fighting that fight, and continue to fight, because there are elements to a film that are as important as the things that are on the surface. Obviously, it's a Saw film. The special effects are amazing. The people who work on those are amazing. The twists and the scares are amazing. But when Shawnee talks about character and relationship, when you have all those effects, and you have all of that timing, and all of that music, and all of those scary moments, if you can offset that with people that you care about, and that even for a moment you say to yourself, oh, I know how she feels. I know what he means by that. Oh, that's where he's going. You don't have to write whole scenes about it, as a matter of fact. In Saw 3, Shawnee and I barely say anything to each other. It's all done with a touch, with a look. It's manifest. The camera sees everything. It doesn't miss anything. So the smallest thing that gets done, the camera sees, and I give Darren credit because so many of the things that were done in Saw 2, 3, and 4 made it to the film. And those are the things that enrich a film. When you have very strong elements over here, you got to develop the other elements. Over here, you have to care about the people. You have to understand the people. You have to have some investment in what's going on. So, for me, the most rewarding aspects of working on a Saw film are developing those concepts in a way that are integral and don't get in the way of the film. And then the actors and actresses that are able to connect with. There are some actors that you work with and they're so busy acting that you can't find them, or at least I can't find them, But in the case of Shawnee, she's very simple, and the camera picked it up. It picked up what was going on between us, even though it was never written on the page, was never described to us. Nobody ever said, well, this is what they do every night. They have these soirees and they talk about Tchaikovsky or Lenin or whatever. None of that was ever flushed out. It was all done in that little restaurant that we used to sit in and eat salads and wear our polo coats because it was fucking Toronto. I got to know her, and she got to know me. So we weren't afraid to connect. And you would see that in the finished film. In little moments, just like little teeny moments like that, which are enough. That's all you need.
There was one scene, it was the last scene we shot. This is like, I can't find you. He went to me on the side, I can't find you. Because he could always find me, you know. It was because I was trying to do a whoopee cushion joke.
So, Tobin, I'm sorry, this still makes me happy every day, and you don't find as humorous as I do. Goddamn, I'm gonna tell it. I try to keep the sets lighthearted and fun, and I'm a huge fan of toilet humor. And there was a scene where I want to say it was right before his throat got slit that I had a fart machine. I was trying to use screwing with whoopee cushions. I had an electronic fart machine.
I should have used that in hindsight.
So Tobin is such a professional actor. He's so in the moment that I'm and the producer goes, "Don't do it, Glenn. That's gonna piss him off." And I was like, "I'm gonna do it." And he's giving his final speech, and I go, "Man, this is huge fart." He doesn't miss a beat. He just keeps going. Maybe he didn't hear it. I should do it again. I push forward and it goes for like 20 seconds. And he keeps going. And it ends, and the scene ends, and I'm waiting for him to say something, and he doesn't want to even acknowledge it. Everyone's laughing, and Tobin's like, "Shall we go again?" And he doesn't. He just kept going with it so comfortably, and he just sat inside. Speaking of practical jokes, the egg joke to me is still probably the worst, which is you hiding eggs in my saddlebag. I have a phobia of deviled eggs. I can't handle it. Shawnee thought it was hilarious too. He's a director's chair. He's got like a little pouch on the side. And I literally would get disgusted if I saw him on set. So Shawnee got like 6 deviled eggs and stuffed them on the side of the
These deviled eggs, boiled eggs off the set, you know? This is a big deal. So I stuck a couple of his
And days passed, and then I finally smell him. And instinctively, I just reach in. And as I reach in, it took me a moment as I'm looking at what's on my hand. And I was like, "Oh!" It was just, yeah, good times on the salsa. So, when you asked me if we played for deviled eggs on
Tobin, I have a quick question for you. Would you ever consider releasing or publishing any of your notes, journals, or things that you did as Jigsaw? Or is that too personal for you as an actor, kind of figuring out this role? Because now in retrospect, with all the movies, I think it'd be really fascinating. I mean, she just mentioned the note that she reread. I think it'd be really fascinating to see your breakdown of Jigsaw over the years. Is that something you'd be open to sharing at some point?
I thought about that, and I did. I keep these composition books, and I use them for thoughts, for notes, for ideas, mostly for lines and backstory, paraphrasing what he means by what he says. And so I thought at one point in time, I think MTV wanted to publish some of my sketches or something, and they totally fucked it up. Misquoted me, and so I just said, "No, that." But I thought about doing that at one point, so I asked my lawyer whether I should do it, and that's a whole story in itself. When you write about things in Hollywood, you gotta be very careful about saying
It's complicated.
it's complicated also. But yes, the answer is yes. It would be an interesting story.
Yeah.
You guys would want a Jigsaw book, right?
I'll tell you one quick story from that journal. We're doing Soul One. We're on the set down in that little studio was in East LA. And this PA comes out of the ladies' room. What a crap this place was called. Which is perfect for a Soul movie. And this PA comes out of the ladies' room. It's just, oh my God, it's so horrible in there. It's so filthy. I can't even use it. Danny Glover gets up from his chair and he walks into the ladies' room And he looks at the ladies, and he walks out, and he walks over to the producers, where I'm sitting next to him, he says, when you get that ladies' room cleaned up, I'll get back on set. Meanwhile, I'll be in my dressing room. It was cleaned up in 10 minutes. So that's a little story at the end. It's amazing.
That's great. Questions? Stand up. Yep.
Yes, this is for Sean Smith. It's not song related, but what was it like working on the blog?
It was awesome because like they didn't have CGI, right? So every special effect was like they were trying different things. Sometimes they'd grab a bunch of students from a local college, and they'd have them inside silk sheets, and then sometimes it was like, I remember the special effects guy said, the stuff you drink from a McDonald's milkshake is what we make a lot out of. And Kevin Dillon is just super funny, and I was like told that he's so serious about the scene, fighting, what she's fighting, make it real, and Kevin's like, he would laugh. I was like an alien to him, in the best way, it was a lot of fun, but it was just like trial and error, and awesome special effects, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, screaming at a piece of red tape on a stick, half the time. No like fancy green suits with spots, but it was like a piece of tape on a stick. It was fun,
You were a badass during that. That was the great Tony Gardner and his team. I think those effects still hold up if you haven't seen the vlog in a while.
Now, who did summer school? That was Rick Baker.
Yeah,
Rick Baker did summer school, and Tony Gardner did the vlog. That was a good decade. And John Candy. It's pretty awesome.
Costa, stop.
This is for everybody. When they finally revealed the iconic reverse bear trap death scene, what was your guys' reaction?
The bear trap. What did you guys think of that? Because that is kind of, when you think of Saw, especially the original, that's kind of the iconic.
What do you think when they released?
When they finally showed how the reverse bear trap kills you. We always got a description of it, almost like just rips your mouth open, but when we finally saw the visual when they did it to Jill Tuck.
Oh, yeah.
What was your guys'
You mean
reaction?
when I did it too? Anyway, that's what I'm saying.
Johnny, were you glad that didn't happen to Amanda?
Sorry, hold on.
What was that? She's sure she said.
Well, I said, and were you glad that didn't happen to Amanda?
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty.
Well, do you guys remember when the first song came out? Me and Darren were talking about this last night. There were these little internet teasers, maybe they were on like AOL, that showed that bear trap, and it kept saying, "How fucked up is that?" And I was like, I want to see that movie. There is a question you right here.
Okay, this is for both of us. I don't even know if you can confirm this or not. Finally, a question. Right? I don't even know if you can talk about this or if it's confirmed or if it's ever going to come up, but is Hoffman dead?
So I'm glad you asked that.
I actually think that was the one.
I told him like Complex has Hoffman to like chew his own leg off. Like, that's just, he's crazy. Like, he's in a good way.
What's the question?
Is Hoffman dead? Can you confirm that?
Do you think Hoffman is dead?
Yeah.
Did anybody see him die?
No.
This is that. You want thousand back.
See hands straight there. Yeah.
So, for Jonathan and Johnny, what is your most personal or favorite connections characters and sorceries.
Well, that's really personal. I think.
I like the concepts in the film that keep popping up and repeating themselves. So that's what makes the films bearable and meaningful to me. Things like the treatment of the terminally ill in the medical community, which has come up a number of times. Fans talk to me all the time about having gratitude for their lives. People who were in a very dour position that saw the films and for whatever reason took them seriously enough and reminded them that even though they felt really bad at that point in their life, that they had many, many things to be grateful for. It's something that we all struggle with on one level or another. And it just reminds people, and here we are, we're talking about a horror film, a popular, scary horror film, but for me, the beauty of those films, except for the music and the other actors, the other concepts that are in the film, it makes Soul what Saw has become is because it's got so many layers to it. And so that's my answer to your question.
All right, I think I talked like 2 more
My
minutes.
blush is your answer. answer to your question.
Hi. So, with my comic horror franchises, they're kind of defined kind of over time. Was there ever a moment when you guys were building this franchise that you would think would grow to the popularity today? I mean, Saw has put its mark, and even defied horror genres with torture and everything else. I mean,
You know, what was the moment that you realized this was much bigger than just that first movie?
I was in the Czech Republic doing a television series for NBC when they brought me the Saw 2 script. And as soon as I saw that script, I knew that this guy who got up off the floor had this kind of King Lear thing going on, and that there were no limits to where you could go with a character like that. So it all comes down to the writing. If the writing is weak, then the story will be weak. And the whole thing will play out that way. So it starts with the writing. If you put the energy and the money into creating good writing, then there's not much you can do, especially with a horror film. People always thought of horror as the weak sister of filmmaking because the standards were always fairly low. But I think Saw showed that you could have layers in a film and that concepts could be introduced as long as it was done properly, and it wouldn't get in the way of the film. I mean, unlike Friday the 13th, or very good series and everything, but Saw had some elements in it that made people think, and that's tremendously important.
One last question. Who's got the best question ever?
That somebody back there pointing with like every hand and foot that he has. The guy who's the guy who's pointing back there? No, he's not saying that. Yes, dude was pointing, yes. Princess?
Princess, stand up. It's a crown.
Yes, princess.
Have any of you all played as the pig in Dead by Daylight? You know?
Yeah, that's the game that they just added the.
Yeah, they added Amanda as the pig as one of the children in Dead by Daylight, so I didn't know if any of you all had.
Do you play video games, Shawnee?
No.
No. Sorry.
I wonder, because every time I play, I wonder if any of them.
Is it just named Amanda, or is it patterned after Amanda's character?
It's after her character. It has like a whole biography of her story.
Oh.
Well, I've been robbed. Princess, go get him.
Darren says one more amazing question.
Let's go right here. Yeah.
Yes. Are there any traps that you didn't get to use that you really wanted to, or any that you thought later on after you left off? That you wish you could have used there in the movies?
One of the mandates, at least when I was doing the Saw films, was the traps had to work in a way. I'm going to change your question a little bit because, so I'm actually going to talk about what I want to talk about. You guys are making Game of Thrones. How's it going to end? One of the mandates that we had when I was working on David Hackle was the traps had to work like we showed they worked. If they didn't really do it, we wouldn't do it. And that posed a challenge because in your head you could think of awesome ways to kill people, but it wouldn't work like you thought it would. So if you guys remember the Twisty Trap, which was one of my, I think it was brutal. We built it, and I wouldn't do it unless I knew that it would be constructed by a person. If with one man that said construct this, it would work as we showed it, then it passed the test. So our stunt team goes in the day that trap is made, and they put the stunt man in to show me how it works. And they had a very lightweight pneumatic thing would turn it. And so the minute it turned on, his arms literally went all the way back and it started. We had to stop. We had to pull the plug on it and stop. And actually go back to lessen the motors and everything inside it because it really would have done everything we showed it to do. So there was a ton of ideas that we had that were ludicrous, but I'm saving for Jason's face, which he's off now, and absolutely will happen. And if I can do a crossover with Leprechaun versus Jason's face, but I cared most about doing things that really would work the way they said they did. Such as like the hair trap, the one that pulled the girl's scalp back, which, again, that was a very simple trap. You just yank the hair. So we had a ton of awesome ideas. If you want a book ever published, David Hackle, which was one of the original production designers and ended up directing the Saw film, we have hundreds of failed ideas that looked awesome, but they didn't really operate the way that we would have shown. So for me, the Twisty Trap, because it really did almost fuck somebody up.
All right, and thank everybody for coming. This whole thing has